What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 5.6%, 645 the low, 683 the high. So it is starting to pull back a little bit. A lot of that is attributed to shorts, so I'll go over what they are doing. But today we're seeing a lot of volume, so 5.5 million shares being traded within the first 15 minutes of the trading day. A couple different attributing factors why NIO is moving higher. One is macro data. I know some people disagree with me on this, but industrial production, that one came in a little bit better than the forecast, but retail sales and also unemployment did come in significantly lower, as well as recently PPI, new loans. So of course, I think how the market is interpreting all this data, with it being negative, it's inversely positive because it does and most likely will justify some sort of stimulus at the beginning of October. So I think that's how the market is kind of taking all of this negative data. This is why you saw a lot of Chinese stocks really moving higher. In NIO's case though, you did have this that came out. So a lot of FOMO associated to NIO Day. And so of course, it shows that they are already shipping out ES8 to a lot of studios and just preparing for the launch. So a lot of high expectations. Even some numbers have been thrown around over the weekend. So it looks like Executive Yang did respond to some of the rumors about ES8 already hitting 100,000 pre-orders. It looks as though that it was false, but nonetheless, it goes to show that there's a lot of demand behind the scenes. So I think NIO is doing a pretty good job of all their recent launches. They just have to be very cautious with how they word things and not give crazy high, overly high expectations that they can't meet. So again, I feel like there's a lot of good FOMO behind NIO, and at the same time, institutions are looking for value plays, and even comparing it to other Chinese, let alone even American EV stocks, it's at a pretty substantial discount. Over the last couple of trading days, shorts returned about 38 million shares. Why? I'm not really sure, but I don't think anyone's complaining. Today, they are breaking that trend a little bit. During the pre-market, they weren't doing anything. So in my opinion, the reason why it started to go down is because shorts. So they just recently did increase their position 1.37 million. And given the fact that the volume is only at 5.6, that's why NIO did kind of get dragged down a little bit. Why they're somehow doing this game, because keep in mind, Thursday and Friday, one of the main reasons why NIO is moving higher is because largely shorts were returning, and shorts made up for a good about 40 to 50% of the daily volume. So shorts returning that magnitude caused the stock price to go higher. So they kind of did themselves a little bit of additional damage. Why they're increasing today, I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, 10.38% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 160.33 million shares overall being shorted. Looking at the options, 5.6 million already in calls, 364,000 in puts, 49% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above $7 by the end of this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 650. And the fact that we are at 650 pretty much right now shows that there's more upside. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So a lot of big transactions. Of course, this is primarily used by hedge funds as well as shorts. So shorts increasing 1.27 million shares. So I think they're making up for a good chunk of this. But at the same time, if we look on the secondary market, we are seeing some transactions as well. So again, good to see institutions paying attention to NIO. I remember when I first started to cover NIO, you would be lucky to even see one transaction on either exchange. So now it definitely shows that institutions are paying attention to it a little bit more. Aside from all of that though, with it right now at 651, it is kind of getting dragged down a little bit, but with it right now at 651, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. So 644 is going to be a strong support. Just watch for that. 661 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And best case scenario, it does close above that. and then that way you'll have 689 as that next strong target / resistance point. Aside from that, if you're wanting a good value or don't want to chase any stocks, 617, that's going to be a strong support. Aside from that, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings or anything like that, aside from the one that was posted late last week, unless something just came out. But yeah, it looks like this one, $4 or 4 days ago, $8 price target by JP Morgan. So again, most likely post NIO day, we should be getting a good 3 or 4 at least. So again, something to keep in mind. Aside from all of that though, on the actual chart, it is above that 10-day moving average. So it did actually, in fact, close above that on Friday as well. So momentum's definitely there, and based on the flow, you see a lot of algorithmic trading, and that's based on this S column right here. Aside from what I did bring up, there wasn't really all that much in news, so everything is just associated to ES8. So that's what everyone and their dog is really kind of talking about. And yeah, for the most part, if even looking at the market position, you see still that little bit of a gap. Doesn't mean it needs to be filled ASAP. It could potentially happen sometime in the foreseeable future, but nonetheless, I feel like there is a lot of good hype starting to build. Even comparing it to Friday, this big wall right here between 620 and about 640, where we're kind of at right now, that just got ate up like crazy. So yeah, I think higher highs are going to be coming. This is going to be a pretty good FOMO week. So for those of you that have been looking at getting in, maybe it might be time to consider. Again, you guys do whatever floats your boat and everything else like that, but definitely can't argue with a lot of the data. Let me know your general thoughts on NIO and where you see things going. Just to give you a quick overview on a side note, looking at some of the unusual activity. So we do have some. So on a side note, I'll just kind of move this to single leg. I like to look at single leg and primarily ones that are out of the money for the most part. So you see all the out of the money ones kind of bullish right here, and so it looks like $7 calls for this upcoming Friday. And then aside from that, it looks like one bearish one, $7 call was sold for the most part. It's always good to analyze on a side note options activity, even though these individuals doing this and big money doesn't know much more than us as retail investors, but it kind of shows a sentiment and what they're actually doing. So someone, for instance, is putting 443,000 in premiums and assuming that it is going to go down to at least the sub 6. And so they paid $1.10 for a premium. So they're assuming it's going to be sub $5 over the next 67 days. So again, this is why I like to analyze a lot, like all this information. So let me know your general thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. So worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.